All right, we're going to do a quick update video on EverQuest Legends Companion. I want to kind of show you some of the new features we've built over the last 3 days, tell you a little bit more about things. So um, let me show you some of the analytics that we've been tracking. So these are all opt-in. Lots of people have opted out, but right now the opted-in folks, there's 527 of you using this concurrently now. Got a little over 1,000 installs, 340 today. So lots of upgrades and installs today, which is pretty cool and crazy. And 1.3 billion lines of logs processed, which is pretty cool. So about 900 of you using it daily, which is, I would never have guessed. I'm going to be honest, that there'd be interest for something like this at this scale. So appreciate everyone's support. We have over 90 feature requests and bug reports, and appreciate the patience. Also, it's a small hot tip. If you come in kind of hot and or entitled, I'm not going to fix your bug. I will fix your bug if you're polite. So please be polite. Most of you are, by far and large, all positive feedback. Just a handful of folks have been less positive, but so just I want to show you. We've added this What's New tab, and this is the releases we've done since the last time we talked. So first stable release is when I posted that first YouTube video. We've had something like 15 or 20 releases so far. We've added a bunch of features, so I kind of want to go through those. First, this is still in development, but I have added the ability to have a buff overlay and a debuff overlay. These are kind of ugly in their current setup for me because I actually don't use them. I don't have them on all the time, but I am still working on making these very accurate just because there's so many things that modify buffs. But like as an example, we grab one of these Thunder Spirits here. Oops, I'm in my buff set. I'm going to grab one of these Thunder Spirits here, and we'll kind of see how this works. I'll drop a mez on one just to show you like how it sort of works as well. So it can do mez tracking. It's per target, which is kind of nice. So I'm going to switch to over channel here, charm this guy. So we've got a Tashinia on this Thunder Spirit, 10 minute and 53 seconds. It's roughly accurate. You can kind of see they're pretty darn close, and that's because we build a database of all the spells that you've cast and on what targets, and then we track the durations over time, and we learn how the duration has changed from the base duration. So we use the wiki as a floor for the spell durations, and then all the things that alter your particular cast, your AAs, your focus effects, get incorporated through this sort of learning mechanism. So we build that over time. So this gets tracked. I'm going to go ahead and buff my pet here. We'll just demonstrate some of the other things. Not sure if this, yeah. So we do have buff tracking on pets here as well. I'm just going to kill this person. We'll show shiftless steeds popping up here. This is the first boss in Sky. So we have shiftless steeds. It's 3 minutes, 53 seconds. That should be pretty close. So, also there is some like visual, like this will say 3 minutes and 36 seconds, but actually it will wear off, and then there's like a small grace period. I don't know if you've seen this in EQ, but as far as I can tell, it's accurate with that grace period in mind. Switch to offensive stance here and Spellblade. So we have the slow timers, we have all your buff timers. Again, I'm going to close this because it's pretty ugly, but this is kind of useful. While this is happening, I feel like I can probably show you the kind of multi-target support. So if I drop a Dazzle on here, Dazzle is shown in a different color. We actually sort the debuffs by what's going to expire soonest. So that's very useful for being able to see, like, Dazzle at the top that's going to wear off sooner. Also, just this doesn't have any like direct integration with the audio alert system, but meant conceptually to kind of dovetail nicely, right? You get the visual of the buff ticking down, and then an audio alert maybe when it actually fades or gets broken. I'll just kill this guy just for fun. Okay, that demonstrates another newer feature. So that is my custom sound for beating a boss in a raid instance, right? So that the Thunder Spirit Princess is the first boss there. That's a custom sound. It's not part of the sound pack, so I'll show you that quickly in the app, what that looks like. So we get alerts. My sounds. This is the Final Fantasy Victory fanfare sound. I just converted this off a YouTube video. I'm not going to ship copyrighted sounds in the app, but you can absolutely do it. And then when you select my sounds and can select Final Fantasy fanfare, I turn this one way down because it's variously fairly loud. That overlay that you saw at the top is called a celebration overlay. Kind of a silly name, but what I will say is that there's a preference somewhere. Here it is. So boss kills and Sky. Okay, that was my custom audio alert for charm breaking. So we're gonna re-charm while we're demoing the rest of these features. It starts on. I enjoy it. You can move it by clicking on move it, and then you can drag this around. I'm just gonna keep it where it was and hit done here. This is done should uncheck that. I will fix that. This is fun. It's just like a completionist thing, and it integrates with these new changes I made to the raid target screen. So this is your overall raid progress, right? So I've only done up to D1 on Sky. Actually, I've been gone all weekend, so I haven't played much. But there's also a this week lockout. So there's two things that we're doing here. One is that we're tracking your highest. And if you mouse over here, this is something I just added, and I'm going to drop this alternate text because these are overlapping, obviously. I want to show the individual lockouts for each individual. I'm going to modify this UI before it's released, but individual lockouts for individual levels. This helps with guild coordination, I've heard. So I'm just playing the game more or less solo. So we'll keep that. And yeah, this is sort of like what the idea is on raid targets. We'll do this week. We'll do overall, and we'll remember which tab is selected. So that's a piece. So buff tracking now has these windows. Debuff tracking there. What else? Oh, leveling. There's been a bunch of stuff done here, so you can actually select a region on the log, and it will tell you the stats over that given window. Okay, so that's one thing. It will tell you which spells and such are new or skills. So, for instance, if you're at a particular skill or particular level, so for Enchanter, Monk, and Paladin, this was my most recent attempt. So there's some little bit weirdness with like which classes it's showing you here. In fact, I should make this configurable and will in the future. But the idea is that basically we're going to show you what's new at a given level. That's fine. But more the thing that we want to be able to track is kind of, is this place where I am like efficient and effective, and what other kind of details you might be interested in seeing. So loot is very similar. We've also created this sort of thing at the top that says all this current session, this zone and session, the last 7 days, last 24 hours. So you can see what your loot is and like what your rates are over time. Combat's been changed a lot, actually. So lots of requests for splitting things out. So for instance, I don't know, just to pick like a couple, we support tail rake now. We've split ranged attacks from melee attacks. We are more consistent with pet tracking in and out. And by the way, something that people often ask in feedback is like, I don't, they're saying we shouldn't show the pet with your damage. That's fine. There's combat here. You can uncheck this and it will change where that's displayed. One thing that's I've removed a little bit from the UI is there used to be a little button on these overlays. You can see they're already cramped at small sizes, and I'm trying to reclaim some space from this title bar to make it a little bit easier to drag, a little bit easier to read the encounter that you're on. In an ideal world, you would be able to see the encounter name here without screwing around. So one of the things I did was move the whose damage we're showing to preferences. So by default, it's on your group. And by the way, it's all the details it can capture from the log about the group. So it does some intelligence if you like buff yourself, and it also buffs other people, or it interprets those people as in your group. But as long as the group invites and such show up in the log, it will add that to the world model and it will show those people. If you kind of zoom out, like this is my bar, 147 DPS, that includes my pet. Your group members will show up here. You can also set this to everyone, so it will not filter at all. it's just a little strange being in the open world because we can't really tell what's your encounter versus someone else, right? We can do a best guess and build the model up from, are you attacking this target and such, but healers don't often attack the targets. It's like a little bit strange. So I like to keep it on group by default, and you can change this to your heart's desire. The other things we've added here are some stats, like a stat breakdown on a type of damage. So this is a category of melee. We have so many hits, so much damage here. We have a crit rate now, double attack and triple attack rate, and these are completely estimated. So I would say that something that is true is that EverQuest does not tell you whether or not something is a double attack or triple attack. So we're using the timestamps and logs to infer this. There's this little thing here that says this is estimated, but I like having it rather than not, even if it is like a little bit fuzzy. It's just interesting to see like how often am I double attacking, how often am I triple attacking, and so on and so forth. We added proc support. Obviously, there's this piece here, and then also just procs over time. This should work for overall as well. But actually, I just got into Sky, so overall in the current fight are the same thing. But you see where I'm going with this is that you're able to kind of look at this information. I think if I go to my last Sky run, for instance, you'll see like a more interesting view of this same thing. So for instance, Discordant Mind is what I'm using for my Spellblade. My Spellblade was not on all the time, so you do have to interpret these results. I'd say if you're doing testing, right, like bound it over a few encounters and try to understand like what your proc rates are. But this is very interesting and useful for just generally thinking about these sorts of things. I'm going to go back to my current fight so it's not super confusing. What else? So there's this overview tab, just brings in stuff from everywhere. I've added it so that if you ever click on anything like a recent kill or a drop, it takes you to our app's version of this, so it has your data in it. For instance, Windrune Neza is a piece of currency at a plane of sky. It'll say what you've seen from a drop rate perspective. It'll also say what the wiki says. The wiki is wrong. So a lot of times when you report a bug, what I'm finding is that the wiki is wrong. And we are creating over time an overlay database that sits on top of the multiple wiki sites that corrects this information over time. Hopefully I'll be able to contribute that back to these wikis as we go, but I'm not doing any widespread data collection at all on logs. It has occurred to me that it would be interesting for people who were interested to make the community resources better over time, that we could crowdsource logging information, since we have literally processed over 1 billion lines of logs. But I just don't want to manage the privacy concerns over that right now, and just the liability associated with doing that. It's already kind of overwhelming, the amount of people that have been using it. So we're going to keep it relatively focused. But anyway, so we have loot. You can hit back. It'll take you to where you clicked on this from. Hand of Yushan, for instance, all the drops from the wiki table, what I've seen and looted, your kills over time, and so on and so forth. Actually, this is a bug now that I'm looking at this. Every once in a while, I do see this where the wiki and the logs names are slightly different. So if you ever see something like a Plane of Sky quest item not showing up in your Plane of Sky tracker or something along those lines, just report it to me and have a small log slice attached to the log via the send feedback button. It helps me diagnose these things. I've been trying to get to inbox 0 every day on all these bug and feature requests. I have been denying some of the feature requests because we do want to stay kind of narrowly focused so it stays good and it works just out of the box. And some of them are advocating for an approach that might make things a little bit more fragile. So I don't want things to be fragile. I want them to always work, and we'll build things that make that true. What else? So Exaltation. So this was added sometime in the last few days. The goal here is for you to be able to search procs, warn effects, focus, and clickies. And these roughly correspond to, in game, these slots, right? So for instance, Golem, Metal Wand, Ghoulbane as an Exaltation, I took these off of other mobs and put them on here, or other items and put them on that item. And our goal is to, within the system, try to give you a way to understand that. So you can filter by class, which is one filter. You can filter by inventory. And by the way, if you want to update this thing, if you want to have a set to build on that's just like from your set, you can type this. My thing's restarting. I'm doing some agentic development at the same time, but output file inventory will update that set in the game and allow you to kind of like build on your current character stuff. Because this exaltation system is item specific. It's very complicated actually for a game system, so a little bit hard to understand. But it's a new feature to be able to track these exaltations in the overlay and in the companion. And like for instance, Ghoulbane's companion would be in here. If I search for Ghoulbane, you'll see it in here as Dismiss Undead, which I can then add to my set, and it will. If we go over here to the inventory and we look at the weapon, this isn't like the best UI in the world, but Dismiss Undead will be here. And I haven't recently, you can remove them, you can add them. You can also pick an effect. So one of the things it does is it kind of like filters it based on your item. I'm not sure this is perfect, right? We're still trying to figure this out. Like for instance, I don't think you can add percussion because in general, doesn't this make this bard specific? But maybe you can. Maybe the Cella's drum. It's all. That's like extremely strange. I actually think I have one of these. So sometimes the wiki is not correct, which makes it again like a little bit fragile here. But in general, I'm trying to do things that are not fragile. Let me find the Cella's drum in my inventory. Must be in my dragon horde. I'll check it another time. But basically, the idea is it will help you narrow down the effects that you're targeting, and that allows you to kind of like plan out you're gonna go farm basically a list of stuff, and you're trying to like get mana preservation 2, you're trying to get burning affliction 3, get them onto your items, and this allows you to kind of track that over time. So kind of fun and interesting, even if you just use it for like an effects search. That's something that I often do. So if I like, you clear the classes out and you're like, what are all the effects I could get? What are all the warn effects, the focus effects, the click effects? I'm going to try to make the title line here a little bit more useful over time so you can see kind of like at a glance what Dismiss Summoned is, right? And then come up with some sort that's better than alphabetical that will tell you kind of like the rough power of these procs, because there are a lot of shit procs. Like Infectious Cloud's probably kind of a shit proc, right? I think Infectious Cloud does like 5 damage or something in AoE. It's like a level 20 shaman spell, right? So very, very little reason to go get that. So over time we'll do that. Maps. So we got a lot more interesting on maps. We now integrate the wiki. So for instance, if something's only on the wiki and not on your in-game map, like right now I'm using Brewall, which is an in-game map pack that you can find online elsewhere, but like it only has so many labels. So we have both the support for the wiki locations for everything. So for instance, when I was doing the Tash quest for Enchanter, there's all these item drops on the ground. Very inconsistent, whether it's on Brewall, the default, or the wiki. This search across all of them, which is really nice. I also did the quest for the Paladin Divine Might upgraded Instrument of Knife spell. This has like item drops all over the world. They're on the ground. Lots of them were not in the map, but they were on the wiki, and you get this rough positioning, which is really nice. So to give you a sense, like if I type Dusty, all the maps were like all the things were like these dusty broken shields. If I click on this, it will take you to the map which it's on. And like for instance, when I went to Iridan here, I came in through here, I found it on the map, and then I just navigated my character over here and got it. It's very easy to use it in this way. Highly recommend it. Very fun to be able to just like get through these quests quickly. The other thing is I changed a lot on this Plane of Sky tracker. So different people were asking for all kinds of different things. For instance, I deleted something from my inventory, so the log file is not accurate in these cases. Or, I really want to be able to use the output file as the source. I want to not use the log file. I tried a variety of things here, but in reality, the log is the most accurate of all those things. Output file is very inconsistent in its behavior. It's kind of hard to understand. If you don't have your bank open, it won't show your bank, for instance. Your Dragon Horde's not covered by default. Your currencies tab is not covered by default. So there's all these weird things. The log's the best source of information. I do have other strategies, right? The exports from the game plus the log, or just the export, right? So the idea is I'm going to try to support y'all in terms of your custom little workflows there, but I'm not going to bend over backwards because it will make things harder to understand and be more fragile. I want it to just work out of the gate. the log file is the best way to do that. And I've been adding, because class unlocks are such like a completionist interesting thing. You want to complete every plane of Sky Quest. I've been adding features to conceptually support that over time. So the ability to show just the ready to turn in quests, the ability to ignore quests, and then I'm adding a new tab right now, which is a class unlock tab. It will show you how many quests and which quests you need to finish for each class and which ones you've already done. And we're going to kind of go through that as it were. There's a bunch more options in here now. Filter by island, filter by boss, filter by class, different kinds of sorts. Closest to done, most recently looted, shows you the things that just recently dropped. And then there's a celebration thing that comes up whenever you complete a Sky Quest. So just some small niceties. The ability to uncheck some of these filters is nice as well. Favorite things and so on. Okay. That's more or less all I wanted to show you. There's more depth in pretty much every system now. Again, goal is to just keep it really stable. Like, for instance, I spent a fair amount of time diagnosing startup performance. And one of the things that people were telling me is that, hey, they have network drives. And when there's network drives, the automatic log finding technology takes a little bit longer. So I made it cache your most recently known log location, so it doesn't do this big discovery on startup anymore. When it's processing the logs, I watch a lot of streamers use the software and kind of install it for the first time, so I got a taste of what other people are experiencing on their machines that are doing streaming. For instance, I noticed that the initial log parsing was taking more performance on the machine than is necessary. It was pegging one core while it was processing your 10 megabyte log file. I actually throttled it down. So now it only uses 60% of one core, and it loads more slowly but more reliably, so you can stream while it's starting up. I also increased the speed of the startup so that it shows the window even if it hasn't first auto-discovered the log file. So if you were experiencing before the companion being slow to show on first load because you have a complicated hard drive setup, this fixes all of that, right? A lot of people were confused. They were trying to point the companion at the log directory instead of the install directory. Now it just supports both. So you shouldn't experience those things. It should just be working better out of the box, so to speak. Lots more preferences, by the way. Many, I don't want to say it's only older folks, but like we're all getting a little older playing EQ. Many people were interested in seeing larger text sizes. So on the overlay, there's a separate text setup. And if you let it hover for a second, it'll tell you if you're at 100% or higher. And then for the app itself, oh, and that's a weird bug. Wow, do I have to turn that on and off? Whoa. Okay, I'm going to fix that. I never had the cursor ring turned off while I was messing with the text. So we're going to fix that after this video. It's a live demo, so apologies. But we've allowed for this sort of text size to get modified. Lots of combat, lots of overlay, some graphics compatibility stuff. So I will say people are trying on Mac, they're trying on Linux, they're getting it to work. I don't have those machines, so I can't help you necessarily. And frankly, just the volume of feedback has been quite high. So I'm trying to get to most people, to be honest, and get most of the bug fixes and features in that people are most requesting. But in general, I'm not going to be able to help with everything. But I have been trying different options to help with those folks. Different people have got it to work on Linux. Different people have got it to work on Mac crossover already. It's not like a supported thing for me. This is just a character. The buff tracking is still in its infancy. You can mess around with that a little bit. Voice is still the same stuff as before. Usage analytics is the ability to turn that stuff on and off. What's new is all of this piece where we're tracking over time what we're building. I am gonna end up like acquiescing at a certain point and building a Discord as well, because I don't want to bother the mods on EQ Legends. I don't want to bother streamers. People want to talk about the companion app. Let's create a small community to do that. Be on the lookout for that. I haven't set it up yet, but I will soon. I just want it to be like small and moderated and on target. So we'll be setting that up soon. Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate your support so far. It's been really fun to fool around with it. I've been gone all weekend, so I haven't actually been playing. I've only been, keeping the development loop going on some of this stuff. So now I want to play and use it for a bit and get my own feedback in there as well. So appreciate everyone, especially the folks sending feedback and being nice. Appreciate y'all. So thank you. Bye.